Hey, everybody. We're starting to announce our next podcast guest. I'm John Naus, Chief Property Officer of Dual North America, alongside Connie Germano, Chief Casualty Officer and co-host of Insurance at 78 RPMs. And I'm really excited to announce the next guest, Connie, right? She was great.
Oh, wow. Yes. Um, I couldn't have asked for a better guest, especially during International Women's Month. And to have a woman of her esteem and reputation, and really just someone who's always been there to help people and colleagues through the industry, as well as her insureds and clients. I think having Brenda Austenfeld on this podcast was really a crowning moment for us.
Oh, I agree. And for those of you listening who may not know who Brenda is, she's the president of RT Specialty and CEO of Property at RT Specialty, and just a great person. To your point, Connie, she's just been a industry career long friend of mine, knowing her all the way back to the Westrope days and meeting her just after she left Aon and started there, and we got into a lot of that, what she's doing currently in her career and the industry itself from a property perspective and an overall perspective. And so it was a great conversation. I'm excited to share with everybody.
Yeah, me too. Do you think we'll get to why she calls you Indy?
Well, if she doesn't, maybe we'll tease that when we post the podcast and let everyone know. It's a great nickname. It's one of my favorites, and I have many. Some good, not so. Some not so. But yeah, it was a great pull by her when it happened, when the event happened, and we'll see if she comes up with it. If not, we'll let everyone know down the road.
Good. All right.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening and enjoy the podcast. And just a reminder, all of Brenda's songs, which were great, will be on our Spotify or be added to our Spotify playlist, Insurance at 78 RPMs. We hope you enjoy.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. You guys are doing a terrific job. I've listened to the past podcasts you've done so far and looking forward to a fun day.
Yes, thank you. And where are you today, Brenda?
I am in beautiful Naples, Florida, where it's 85 and sunny. I haven't mentioned that to a lot of my colleagues that are in the snow. So it's been a good streak of perfect weather in Florida these days.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, perfect weather, not so much a perfect outcome of the game, the helmet behind you. I just have to point that out. Still a great team. Just some days it's not your day, but I'm sure they'll be back. They're not going anywhere.
I left that helmet in my frame just because I truly am a Chiefs fan. I'm not going away. We've been at Super Bowl 5 of the last 6 years. We'll be back. It was a tough game. Tough loss. Yeah. We'll be back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, again, as Connie said, I want to thank you for joining. In fact, I'm actually anxious to get into this because of your song choices. And just before we start, I have to say that of our previous guests and yours is the ones that's most country heavy, which is great. I love country music. And in your honor, I just want you to know I wore a shirt that has snaps and not buttons. This is my first snap shirt, and it's because of your country music. Now, having said that, we're going to jump into your first song, which isn't a country song. It's actually a great banger, and it's Living on a Prayer. And everyone knows it. Co-written by John Bon Jovi, which incidentally, by the way, surprisingly has his own honky tonk on Broadway in Nashville. So if you ever wanted to spend a little time listening to country and rock and roll in Nashville, you could do that at his honky tonk, which opened, I think, just late last year.
I didn't.
Yeah, so John and Richie Sambora and Desmond Child, obviously a great song. Everyone knows it. #1 hit, all about, trying to live your dream and trying to make it in a tough world. And in fact, it turns out that There are a lot of people that like it because the YouTube video has over 1 billion views.
Wow.
So it's a very, very popular song. So Mariah, our trusty producer, could you play a little bit of the tune before we get into it with Brenda? Thanks. Exactly. I don't know how you can't move your head, all of it. And it just starts off great and it just gets better. I almost want to start singing it.
I think I know every lyric.
I think it would be good for our audience. So, I mean, just obviously a great song. Any particular reason you chose it, Brenda?
You know, it's funny, as you mentioned, a lot of my song choices are country, and yet, there's a lot of that 80s hair band music that I still love. And that's just one of my favorites. It's not, doesn't even have a lot to do with all the lyrics. It's just about the fact that I love the song, the beat, and the fact that you can't sing the chorus without like raising your hand and going at it. So it's just a fun song that, always makes me smile and, takes me back to the 80s. So it's awesome.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's just a very iconic piece of music, that's for sure. So if you think about the song itself and you think about Tommy and them trying to make it, we talk a little bit about your origin story. I mean, you have a long and storied career, still obviously a long way to go, but just curious about, how it kind of got started for you. And are you surprised as we sit here today to talk that you are where you are, the curve of your career?
Well, it was not as I'd planned. I grew up, I like to tell people I'm very proud of the fact that I grew up on a farm in Kansas, outside of a town of 500 people. And, as I speak throughout the country, a lot of times I'll say a lot of times that, you know, the room size that I'm speaking to has more people in it than my hometown. So it's always a good example and analogy of what that really looked like. So I was fortunate enough to answer an ad in the newspaper. That's how you used to find a job back years ago. And really found and met the greatest mentor of my career at that time. Answered an ad for the second largest insurance broker at the time, which was Alexander and Alexander. And it's funny because a lot of people don't even know who that is today.
I know.
Aon purchased A&A to become then the second largest retail broker in the world. So very fortunate to have met just a terrific mentor, really a very smart man who took me under his wing, really. And I learned a lot about the insurance world.
So let's just explore that for a second. When you say a great mentor, what do you think that means?
Well, for me personally, he was tough. He was a great broker, and a lot of what I learned from him was the fact that to be a really great broker, there's a lot of good brokers, and I coach this a lot today. There's a lot of good brokers, but to be a great broker, you really have to be a technician as well as a great salesperson. And so he would have me read policies, all the exciting things of the insurance world. But I learned a lot about the technical side, which really helped me become just a better um, broker, technician, and, today a better coach.
Yeah, I suspect if you know your product, you have more empathy for the other side. What the underwriter's trying to do, and you can probably get to wins faster than if you are just trying to get someone to sort of buy something that you might not actually understand. I think that's a really powerful thing to understand. Really, it is what you're doing.
It is, and especially when you're working with retail, as a wholesale broker, working with retail brokers and or insured, the whole group of all of us in the process, it's understanding how to cover the exposure that the end insured really needs. And a lot of times people will sell a product that might be cheap, but it doesn't cover everything that needs to be covered if there's a loss that does occur. So um, it was great. I was exposed to a lot of, really great areas within the insurance business at that time. I remember when we started at A&A. Probably the funniest thing was I went to my boss after my first week and said, "Where are all the young people?" And he said, "You're it." So so it was really pretty interesting at that time, just at my very, very beginning of my career, that there weren't a lot of young people. And so I learned a lot, just kind of hunkered down and really learned as much as I possibly could.
Do you see a fundamental difference between being a wholesale broker and a retail broker in terms of what you learned and how you've seen your career? I mean, is it different skill sets? Do you feel like, and generally speaking, they're the same? How do you see that?
That's a really good question. I hadn't really thought of it in that way. I feel like I'm a better wholesale broker because I was a retail broker. I understand the message that needs to be delivered, and a lot of times it's a challenging message in a transitioning, you know, tough market. It's tough to deliver challenging news. So I think I would say that the difference is as a wholesale broker, especially today, we're so specialized that you may work on several, you may be handling 40 accounts at the same time because it's very specialized in what you're looking at, as opposed to a retail broker who may be working on large accounts, but not as many at the same time. So I think that's the biggest differential. It's really all about prioritizing your workload. um, I think that part of it makes it a challenge, and where you really can stand out by being good is being able to juggle the prioritization.
So I wanted to take you back to, I know how it felt when I started brand new in the business, hadn't been in insurance before. And I remember that time when I looked at someone else and I said, I want that job. Did you ever have that moment? And what job was that?
Boy, that's a great question for sure. Um, for me personally, I've grown up on the sales side of the business my entire career. And a lot of people ask me a lot of times, who are your mentors along the way? And how many women mentors did you have? And of course, you know the answer to
Yeah,
that,
I
Con.
think I do.
So when I first started, there literally were no women leaders in our business. And so I think it changed along the way. Now that I stop and think about this question, it's a really great question. Um, because I always knew I wanted to build something, which is why I ended up leaving Aon years later. But I wanted to build something. I just didn't know how big it could be. So I think the fact that as the world opened up to me to see all the possibilities, it became a goal that just kept shifting and changing. It wasn't like I started off going, this is what I want to do. This is who I want to become one day. So I think it changed throughout my career.
Yeah.
Are you surprised by the arc of the thing that you built? I mean, starting at Westrope and then, moving into RT as a result of that sale. And then, wow, turning in RT, I'm sure you have a big hand in turning that into a juggernaut. I mean, is that sort of the plan all along? Or are you just slightly ever surprised by your success, or was it all expected? How do you see that?
I think as I stop today and look back at all the different, you know, changes, the moving parts as I was making different career changes, I do remember a very specific moment in time when I was at Aon, and I was used to handle, very large national global accounts, and would be in London every other month. And I remember sitting with, London brokers who I'd known forever, and they asked me, what are you going to do in 5 years?" And it was the first time in my career that I didn't really know. I loved what I did at Aon. We handled some of the largest accounts in the country, and I really enjoyed what I did. But yet I had not stopped to really think about, where do I really see myself in 5 years? And that was such a defining point in my career that I resigned literally 2 weeks later.
Oh, no
And
kidding.
not
Well, wow.
and went
That
to
must have meant something, that conversation.
Yeah.
You're definitely was one of those striking moments, and decided to go to Westrope. I decided at that point in time I really wanted to build something. And so went to a small wholesale broker based in Kansas City, 50 employees at the time, and just said, let's build something. So it was really an exciting time. And then to sell, years later, we sold to RT now 13 years ago, and to now build on such a, much larger platform, it's the thrill of my career. It's truly been exciting and so rewarding. So it's been terrific.
Yeah, you have a lot to be proud of, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, should we go into the next song, Connie?
Well, I think we should. So,
Okay.
I don't get the opportunity to listen to country music very often. And so when I opened up your list of songs, I was really excited to get into them and listen to them, and I did a fair amount of research on them. And the thing that kept coming up was the very first time that I met you, and it was in Kansas City, and you drove up to a party that RT was having. So it was after the sale, and you had quite the sports car. And that was left an indelible impression in my mind as, this is Brenda. So I couldn't get rid of that thought while I was doing the research. So let's go to the second song. Second song is She's Country, which I never would have guessed from the sports car the time that I first met you. She's Country by Jason Aldean. And so in doing the research, I learned that it was written by Danny Myrick and Bridget Tatum, and they co-wrote it. And Jason Aldean released it in December 2008. It was a lead single from his 2009 Wide Open album. And the song hit #1 on the Billboard Country Music Chart in May of 2009. And it's been certified double platinum by the RIA. So let's listen to a little bit of it, and then I have some more news about it for you.
Big southern drawl, sexy swinging walk, brother, she's all country. Shoot, from her cowboy boots to her down home roots, she's country. From the song she plays to the prayer she prays, that's the way she was born and raised. She ain't afraid to stay country. Brother, she's country.
One, I couldn't help but get over the similarity to the guitar line for Living on a Prayer in this song. So I got a little sense of what you like in your music, and I love the lyrics overall. But in reading about this song, Bridget Tatum thought of this song while she was driving somewhere, and she stopped in a Target parking lot to finish writing the song. And then ultimately the two of them finished the song, and then they brought it to Jason Aldean. But it made me laugh and think about the number of times when I've been traveling, I need to take a call, I need to send an email or something, and I, being the good insurance person that I am, I stop, and I love Target.
As the insurance person.
And I love Target parking lots because they're huge and safe and usually pretty plentiful. I know you're a road warrior. I see you everywhere. Tell me a little bit about kind of how you view the ENS space and how it's changed over time. I know that was a big buildup for maybe a conversation around the Target parking lot, but really what I'm curious, even though I stop along the way and have those Target parking lot moments, I look back at the industry and some things have stayed so the same, but the industry is evolving. What do you see as emerging trends in the ENS space?
Well, before I answer that question, I have to comment on this song, first of all. So,
Is it you? Is
oh,
it
yeah,
you, Brenda? Is that
well,
song you?
Ask
it's
that
one of the
question.
lines, the beginning of the lines that it talks about was she drives her, it was something like her dad's pickup truck. And
Daddy's truck.
yeah. So in high school, I drove a pickup truck all through high school, the entire time. And so that,
Are
when
you
I,
Chevy or Ford?
oh, Ford all the way, for sure.
Okay.
No question about that. Everything was Ford in our house.
Okay.
So for me, when I first heard that song, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is literally me when I was growing up. Um, and I love the beat to it and everything else. But and I have a lot of cowboy boots still. It talks about that she's in her cowboy boots, and then and it talks about a Kansas princess. That for sure ties it all together for me.
That's great. Thank you.
But yes, I have been a road warrior my entire career. I even think about it, from time to time about what it was like back in the day when I first started. And I make the comment to a lot of our brokers today that I was a street broker. And they're like, what's that even mean? And I said, well, it's when you're literally making calls to people that have never heard of your company, ever. Like when I was at Westro, producing business, no one had even heard of this in a lot of states. So the road warrior is a real thing. I've done it for over 30 years, traveled, and it's so much different today, to answer your question of as to how the ENS world has evolved, because there were so many more wholesale brokers, before when I first started on the wholesale side. Today, with the consolidation, which is part of the reason we sold Westrope, we had built Westrope to the sixth largest wholesale broker at that time, which is just 13 years ago. That was 650 million. And we thought that was a pretty big number.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're the second largest, property casualty wholesale broker in the country. And now today we can definitely see all of our big brokers becoming 30, 40, 50 billion dollar entities. So it's been fun to watch from the front row, to be part of it, to see the shift, to see the elevation of talent throughout the entire ENS platform on the underwriting side as well as the broking side. I think it's the most exciting place to be today because there's just so much opportunity, talent, and I think the sky's the limit. The world is a tricky place right now, right? It's risky, it's tricky. Mother Nature, I always say this in a lot of my conversations. Mother Nature's just not very happy right now.
Mm.
There's a lot going on in addition to kind of your world and the casualty space too. So it's I think we're needed today more than ever to have the specialization, what we all bring to the table that really helps the insured find, really important solutions. So it's been fun.
I can't believe that we'll ever be at a spot in our industry where that FaceTime isn't important. But I may eat those words someday, but I just think it's such an important part.
I hope so. I mean, I hope that it continues forward forever. We coach that with our people. You know, uh, Deals don't just fly in the door. You have to go get them, and especially in sales. If you're not in front of your clients, somebody else is. So that's basically how it works in the sales world specifically.
Yeah, I mean that's an important point to make, and we like to call it active underwriting, right? We don't sit at our desk and wait for a submission to turn up. We have to go find the brokers we want to have relationships. We have to ask for the business that we want to underwrite that fit within our parameters, and then do it, right? You can It's an active world, and I agree with you. If you're not doing it, someone else is. That's absolutely right.
Yep.
Do you? I know you mentioned in your sales training. You coach that and teach that. Do you feel like the younger generations are embracing it in the way that that you did say at Westrope when no one knew who you were and you just had to go do it? Do you find any resistance that you need to break down
Um,
just based on generational stuff?
you all are coming up with some really good questions. I like these. um, I would say that anybody that really wants to be a great broker understands that's part of the gig. That you have to be a sponge, learn, be knowledgeable, and also balanced. It's a tough balance to balance the travel in addition to working deals. I will say to your point about, you know, being when I was at Westrope and not having anybody know who we were, I try to also explain to our young talent today that it is a little easier today when you walk in the door and you're carrying an RT card. People know who we are now, even though we're 15 years old. They now know, so it does open a door where it would have been a little more challenging prior.
Oh, there's no question. Those kids are standing on the shoulders of giants,
Yeah.
and you're one of them. So I agree with that. It's a good point. It is the best part of our business is, not selling a widget with a margin. It's a promise, and it's a difficult one in some cases. It's a lot, and it's great, when you have the skill set to connect with people and you understand your product. It's a very powerful pairing, and you can get a lot out of this business if you have that. And to your point about the coaching, is most of that internal? Do you do external training, and is it a combination? How do you do that?
It is a combination. I mean, for me personally, anybody that reaches out to me, I stop and will help them. So whether that's in our own firm or friends, family, I have a lot of our friends who have young talent that they want me to offer suggestions to, especially young women. I feel like I have a lot of great suggestions to offer that can help them navigate the sometimes challenging business world as a whole. So I love to help people, become the best they can be. That's really become my mantra from this point forward.
That's great.
It's very rewarding too to watch someone you've given a little bit of advice to and have them take it to heights you hadn't expected, but knew they had it in them.
It really is. We hire a couple hundred kids out of college every year. So we are literally coaching a significant number of really the best of the best. And it's super fun. It's been fun for me my whole career. I've hired so many people out of college that are now superstars throughout our whole industry. So it's very rewarding.
Yeah, you're like Nick Saban. You have a hell of a coaching tree, Brenda. I mean, of all these people you've coached up that have gone on to great, great things, you can be very, very proud of your career. That's for sure.
Wow, thank you. That's just I feel like the benefit of it all is being able to see, all the talent really become who they want to become. And that's one of the things I tell them. I can't get you to where you want to go by yourself. I can't do it for you. You have to do it yourself. But I'll give you some suggestions and ideas of how to move quicker.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let's look at our next song, or listen to our next song, Mariah. Let's just play a little bit, and then we'll get into it.
Like a small boat on the ocean, sending big waves into motion. Like how
She has a very pretty voice. It's the first time I'd ever heard her sing.
I might only have one match, but I can make an explosion. And all those things I didn't say were wrecking balls inside my brain. I will scream loud tonight. Can you hear my voice this time? This is my fight song. Take back my life song. Prove I'm alright song. My power's
So, for our audience who may not know, that's Rachel Platten. I actually didn't know that myself. I actually pinged my daughter who loves country music and said, "Of course, Dad, it's Rachel Platten. She's the best." One more thing I don't know about, but is what I'm more of an old country guy than I am a newer country. But regardless, it's a lovely song and a great story and a great message around believing in yourself and staying in the fight. And I guess it looks like Rachel wanted to potentially leave the music industry because she was struggling, and then decided to write this song. And next thing you know, it's number 6 on the Billboard 100. So it's pretty interesting story arc from believing that maybe I don't have it to saying nope, I do and I will, and write the song, and now she does. It's really an interesting story. Is there a particular reason why you chose that song, Brenda?
Well, I will say in sales, you have to keep yourself pumped up every single day. And, if you're having a tough day, it doesn't really matter in sales. You have to come ready to play the game. And so, for me personally, I get a lot of enthusiasm and uh, optimism and just that fight that it takes through music. And it's funny, Connie, when you mentioned my sports car. Yes, I always have a black on black sports car, always. And I can remember this song specifically and some challenging times in my career. Driving into the office or a situation and literally playing that song over and over and over to get myself pumped up, ready to take on the world. And so, part of it is in my coaching as well. You have to be pumped up as a leader. Pat Ryan, Tim Turner both make the comment all the time, and I strongly believe this, that the speed of the team is based on the speed of the leader. And so, especially in sales, um, you may have a tough loss, but you have got to get right back in the game and go hard. That's just what it takes every single day. So it's just a good, fun song for me to keep myself pumped up and to remember or recognize the fact that I still have a lot to offer. We'll always have a lot to offer, and ready to fight, fight to win.
I agree. I agree with that sentiment. I mean, there's nothing like listening to music while you're exercising or whatever. I mean, you just think about the Rocky tune, right? I mean, who didn't want to go run in Philadelphia after listening to something like that? And this song, it's a lot like that. I mean, so let's just say if we parlayed that thought from you personally to the insurance industry as a whole, and you think about what happened in California, um, do you think, obviously the insurance industry's it's not reeling, but it's facing challenges, right? As a result of, to your point earlier, as you said, the cheapest coverage isn't always the best coverage, right? I mean, so in terms of trying to stay in the fight as an industry, do you see, real issues ahead in terms of, trying to solve for risk, for insureds, generally speaking?
I do. I mean, and I think back to the comment that, Connie asked about the ENS world. I mean, that's the best part about being in the ENS space today, because I feel like the capital providers who have committed to our space, for Dual, for all the other insurance companies, as well as so many now MGU, MGAs, and of course we own several at Ryan Specialty as well. They understand the need for creating product. A lot of different companies, capital providers, insurance companies, MGUs, whatever the case, may decide they don't want to participate in a very, very high risk area, whatever the case, property casualty, pro exec, whatever coverage line you're talking. Um, Yet there are those who are up for the task and up for the gamble. And I think today's world, people have now figured out from days gone by that big limits is a problem. If you're going to put out really big limits in different areas, it can be more challenging. Whereas if you have a really challenging risk, you can, as an insurance company and a capital provider, limit your risk by just putting up shorter limits, but still offering a product that solves an issue and provides a solution.
This is kind of a loaded question. Do you think MGAs, MGUs, carriers, who's the most creative right now?
I think a little of both. I mean,
Yeah.
I really do. We all know, and everybody talks about it, that there is a talent war. So it's making sure whichever side you're on, whether it's an insurance company, even a broker, or an MGU, MGA, it's really all about finding the best talent to make sure that the capital that's being um, expended to markets and different accounts is used properly. So I think it's all comes down to really the talent that each company has and how you deploy that capital.
David Howden, our founder, always talks about insurance as a force for good. Do you think we're making the case as an industry that that is indeed true?
I do. I think it's challenging when you have a situation like we have in California and in any other significant catastrophic loss situation. It's how do markets step up? And it's always a challenge when markets look to find a reason not to, pay a claim. That does tend to give our industry a black eye at times. So I think it's just a matter of making sure, again, that coverage has been negotiated properly, that you have what you think you've purchased as a buyer, and that then the insurance companies are there to pay.
Do you think the broker, and particularly a wholesale broker, has a role to play in sort of sussing all that out as the process goes through to try to figure out, the best outcome where everyone can try to, get what they need as opposed to winners and losers?
Yeah, I think that, well, the claims process is one that, like we at RT have a top tier talent claims team. You know, uh, when I was at Westrope years ago, we hired the first claims person in the wholesale ranks because you had brokers trying to help with a claim.
Yeah.
And, we need our brokers negotiating deals, not trying to fix a claim. So that piece alone has changed the dynamic of a wholesale broker involved in a situation where you have a challenging claim and trying to really advocate for the insured and retail broker and working hand in hand with our market partners too. Um, I know you and others hear from me now and then because
Sure.
Tim Turner and I, that's one of our jobs. We're the risk managers for RT as we get involved in a lot of claim situations as well. So we really believe that advocating for our clients is a differentiator.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with you. I mean, if you think about it, again, it's not a widget. It's not a simple thing that we're selling, right? And it takes a little bit of understanding and some grace occasionally, to get to the right outcomes. And I do think for the most part, it is interesting. I do have some friends that ask me about homeowners insurance day to day, and I am surprised at how sophisticated they are in business, how kind of little they know about how it works and how it's supposed to work. As in, I haven't had a claim in 5 years. Why am I paying more? Or, how much time do you have? And do you really want me to ruin this party by telling you the answer? I mean, come on now. I mean, there's no faster way to ruin a party than to ask an insurance underwriter about underwriting. Regardless, I wonder whether, we could do a better job of trying to explain, what we do and how we do it. Because, the knee jerk reaction is, I'm sure you've seen on social media after the fires, we're the bad guys again.
All right. The next song is Flyover States. This one I had heard before, and I have heard Fight Song many times. It's a favorite of mine too. So Flyover States by Jason Aldean, written by Neil Thrasher and Michael Delaney. The song was released in February 2012 as the fifth and final single from the 2010 album from Aldean called My Kind of Party, and the 15th single from his career. It became his 7th #1 hit, as well as his 14th top 10 and his 9th consecutive top 5 song. So we'll have Mariah, if you can play a little bit of it, and then you can think about why this song.
Could be Oklahoma. Just a bunch of square cornfields and wheat farms, man, it all looks the same. Miles and miles of back roads and highways connecting little towns with fun and names. Who'd wanna live down there in the middle of nowhere? They've never drove through Indiana, bit the man who plowed that earth, planted that seed, busted his ass for you and me. You're called a harvest moon in Kansas. They'd understand why God made those flyover states.
All right, Brenda. So having flown over those flyover states and driven through them many times, tell me a little bit why this song for you.
Well, it's probably even more relevant, today than ever before because I fly coast to coast regularly. And so, when I do fly over those states, this song always, triggers a thought for me. And obviously, growing up in Kansas on a wheat and cattle farm, my dad was a farmer. He did, as I talked about, busted his ass for a lot of people to help, helped us grow up in a, lower middle class area. That the the coolest part about where I grew up is the fact that everybody was in the same economic, social setting. So nobody knew they didn't have any money. So it was awesome because we just lived as we did and everybody worked hard. My mom was a nurse and it really was just all about enjoying life, working hard. I was involved with a lot of different things growing up, sports, a lot of
I was thinking the same thing.
yeah, 4-H. I showed horses for 20 years, all kinds of fun stuff. And so there's just, that it's just a good reminder, I think, for all of us that a lot of good parts of life and good people are from those flyover states. So it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, uh, I loved reading the lyrics to the song. I hadn't really sat through, too many replaying of the song where I could recite the words, but ultimately reading the lyrics, it really struck home with me. But one of the funny things that the connections that I drew from it is just as those people on the plane were talking about who lives there, how many people say to, about people in insurance, what a horrible job. Who does that job? It sounds so boring. And I think, given our last conversation about the good we do as an industry, we sometimes really struggle attracting new talent. Doesn't sound like you do, new entrants and college graduates to our business because it seems so boring and staid. So I know there's an increasing specialized talent need in the surplus line space. How can we get better at attracting people across the board in our industry?
Well, first I want to comment on one last line. I meant to comment on that song. There's a phrase in there that talks about the harvest moon in Kansas. And that's also a really great line in that song for me because coming from the farm, I used to drive a wheat truck when I was 14. Like, who lets their daughter at 14 drive this massive 300 bushel wheat truck?
People on farms.
No, the farm. And I will say this, the coolest part about growing up in that type of situation is I truly believe I could do anything. And so, I tell people I rode horses before I could walk. I drove before I could reach the pedals. And I was just exposed to so many different things. So the confidence that I was able to gain so early on through sports, as well as just working hard, has helped me a lot throughout my career. But as far as the talent and recruiting and shining the light, I think it's all about shining the light on how exciting it is. I mean, I truly believe this is a great business, and I'm grateful to have found it or it found me. Um, I have done things, seen things, and your first question to me was, did I ever think I'd be in this position? And years ago, no, but today, yes. I feel like I belong where I am, and I feel like that my part of my job is to help shine the spotlight to those who don't know how exciting and what a phenomenal opportunity it is to be in this business that truly provides uh, open-ended opportunities. It's really how hard you want to work and how much you want to learn to become the best to expand your career to whatever you want it to be. So I think it's really just shining the light to those who may not know about it. We have a strong intern program where we send about 75 kids through an intern program. So that's rising juniors, seniors. And we're trying to expand that to two a year just because we feel like we're turning too many away. We have a strong recruiting team that, really works a lot of the big colleges that had risk management um, programs. Yet we've always found, those people, the people who really choose risk management early on, which is not as rare as it used to be. you
Right.
know, there's so many risk management programs today. Um, that's a really good area, but we also look for those young kids who have something to prove. A lot of times it's all about finding a young talent that just needs an opportunity. It's never been given the right opportunity because some of those are some of our most successful brokers.
Yeah, I
And
can only imagine.
and I'm one of those people. You know, I've been told so many times I couldn't do something, and that just fuels my fire to work harder to prove anybody and everybody wrong. Oh, that's what's driven me my entire life.
It's funny you say that. My aunt, who my uncle taught at University of Wisconsin, and my aunt worked in the admissions office. And one of the key pieces of activity they look for was swimmers, and particularly swimmers who didn't win anything. So imagine being in swimming for 4 years and not winning anything. Then you think, well, man, they really got up every day and went in the pool at 6 a.m. or whatever the case may be to not win. That shows us something. And when she said that, when Aunt Carol said that to me, I thought, wow, that's brilliant. Because it is hard to swim. It's on your own. It's cold. It's dark. And you just think, well, it's one thing if you're winning state and maybe competing for an Olympic spot or whatever the case. But if you're just an average swimmer, I mean, there are more fun things to do than that in my mind.
Yeah,
And just,
like you.
wow, that kind of fits what you were saying, specifically. And I was going to ask you, what kind of qualities you looking for people when you're hiring, but your point, people with something to prove, scrappers, you know?
And to your point about the swimmer, we love athletes as well. It's understanding the dedication it takes, and we talked about this early in the conversation. As a salesperson specifically, to be able to pump yourself up every single day to go out and conquer the world and go for the win. It's tough. And so athletes, in my mind, are used to that. They're used to the dedication, the commitment, what it takes to become better, how to take criticism to become better at who they are, who as a person, as well as how to become better in in your position, your job, whatever you want to do. So I think a lot of that has to do with people who grew up as an athlete.
Yeah. I think it's that concept of failure, and it's not the failure, it's what you do with it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say that to my guys all the time. It's great to win, but the most important thing is to know how to lose and learn from it. So it's
That's
good.
well said.
Yeah.
Well, let's move to our, excuse me, final song, which is just an all-time country music singer, as we all know, the king of country, George Strait. The song is Living and Living Well, which I think is very apropos for this conversation. Written by, you'll never believe this, written by Tony Martin, Mark Nestler, and my next door neighbor, Tom Shapiro in Nashville.
Oh, you're kidding.
Nope, he was the singer-songwriter. He's in the Country Music Hall of Fame, and he was the singer. I'm not singer, songwriter of the '80s for country music. He has something like 20 or 25 #1 hits, and just an absolutely gem of a guy. He recently moved full time down to Florida, but just the stories I heard from him were just fantastic, and it was just made me smile to see his name on this list. It's really a small world, but released in February 2002 on the album Road Less Traveled. The song, of course, reached #1. That's what George Strait does, makes #1 hits on the Billboard Hot Country Singles and Tracks in June, and also peaked at number 27 on the Billboard Hot 100, sort of a minor crossover hit. So, Mariah, can you play a little bit of that song, please?
But the moment you set foot on my shore, that's when I knew there's a difference in living and living well. You can't have it all by yourself. Something's always missing till you share it with someone else. There's a difference in living and living well.
It's just so well said. I mean, George Strait as a musician, and I know not all of the songs he wrote, but boy, he could sing about the human condition, and that's a perfect example of it. His song that absolutely breaks my heart is I Can Still Make Cheyenne. I mean, that song about how his wife's like, well, you're gone on the road, you're a cowboy, I'm out. And he's like, well, that's okay. Well, maybe I can still make Cheyenne. I mean, that is just he's just fabulous. But the lyrics that were written by this song, or written by those guys, there's a difference in living and living well. You can't have it all by yourself. Something's always missing till you share it with someone else. Is that what drove you to choose this song, Brenda? And what does that mean for you?
It is. That's exactly right. George Strait's still my favorite of all time. And Connie, I know you're newer to the country world, but George Strait's the king of country and always will be.
I do know that. I do.
Okay,
know
yeah.
that. Yes.
Very, I mean, I could pick all of his songs as my top 10.
I agree.
Yeah, they're so good. And one thing I love about country music is just the message that's always there. There's always a storyline that I feel like I can relate to a lot of times because, several of the others I chose to are the same way. But this one specifically, it's interesting. I remarried my husband, Frank, actually almost 14 years ago. And we had this song played at the party that Kevin Westrop hosted for us after we got married. And it's just so perfect because for me personally, it's, we can all accomplish great things in life, but if you're not sharing it with somebody and really experiencing life and all of the great things in life with somebody, it just doesn't seem like it matters as much. So it was perfect timing for me and definitely a great story for Frank and I. So it's been great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you could even apply that to your time at Westrope. I mean, I look back when I knew you then and all the cool things you guys were doing together, you and Kevin and Mark and everyone. I mean, that was a success that was very well deserved.
Yeah, thank you. It is. And it does. It applies to everything about life is that, we're all grinding it out a lot of days. And yet you still have to stop and smell the roses, as they like to say, but also just to enjoy the fact that living a good life can be shared with a lot of people. So, and a lot of us who have made it to different levels of our careers, I mean, I can guarantee you there's a lot of people that helped me get here. So I'm very grateful to all the people in my life that have helped me and coached me and continue to coach me. So it's exciting, and I'm thrilled with still what's coming around the corner.
I don't even know if you knew that I was going to ask you next. What's coming around the corner, Brenda? You're the best. You
She
really are.
she really is thinking about these way ahead of us.
Yes. But what is for you sort of personally and professionally? I mean, you've had a great career. There's obviously much more to come. What does that look like?
You know, having built the platform that we've built, we have a long way to go. We have a lot more to do. Um, Part of what drives me today is the fact that it's, first of all, I've said this a million times today, but I love this business. I love the opportunities. And I do feel like it's my responsibility. Having, as I just mentioned, so many people that help me get to this level, I do feel like it's my responsibility to help others move forward and to the level that they want to become. So it's been fun for me as a woman to have navigated, especially the sales world. When I started, there weren't many female people at all, female brokers in the sales world. And at the time, I didn't even really know that. I just did what I did and was lucky enough to really have made a mark. And so now that I've reached a level that I have, one of the highest levels for women in this business, and I feel like it's my job to continue to raise the level of expectation for those that are coming behind me. And I think Connie, maybe you asked this question very early on today, which was, did you see, who did you see that you wanted to become someday? And I think that that's now my job, is to really be that person for others, to say, gosh, if she could do it, I can do it.
Oh, well, that's great. I have to thank you for introducing me to that George Strait song, because I listen to that over and over again, because sometimes in the day to day, you forget that you also have to live your life, not just do your life, right?
Right. Well, I'm lucky enough to have a husband that likes to remind me of that too. He'll be, okay, you need to gear it back, because John's known me a long, long time and known that I've been pretty wound up my whole career. So
Yeah,
it's getting somebody that balances me out.
yeah, and then that's great to hear. I mean, that work-life balance. I mean, but to your point, and thinking about sort of the Lodi Woods, right, and Kim Randall and all these other women that were great brokers, and then thinking about you and everything that you've achieved, it's just fantastic. And you are a great spokesperson for the industry.
Wow.
The panels you sit on, the way you advocate for the business, your infectious nature around this business being what it is. I mean, it would be hard pressed as a college kid to spend some time with you and think, boy, I don't want to be in insurance. I couldn't imagine being in a different place after speaking to you. So
Oh,
if there was ever a personification of insurance as a force for good, you're it.
wow. Thank you. That means a lot. It really does. And it is funny. We've interviewed a couple of kids that, like New York bankers were wanting to hire. And I'm like, give them to me. I've got this.
Confidence.
We seal the deal, and he's on our team.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So yeah. So I appreciate that for sure.
That's great. Any other questions, John?
No, I just want to say thank you. It was a great time chatting with you. I know you're very busy, and we're grateful that you carved out some time for us and our listeners, which are growing. And great song choices. Of course, all of those songs will be on our Spotify playlist, Insurance at 78 RPMs. So she's added a nice country flavor to our ever-growing list, and just wanted to thank you for the time.
Well, both of you. I mean, I just feel lucky to have spent so much of my career with both of you. And, it's been fun to spend time together today. I love your idea of mixing the music in with the career. And obviously, I had not stopped to think about what truly my favorite songs are that speak to me. So thanks for the opportunity, and great to spend time with you too.
Thank you.